They say you should never stop your car in the middle of the old forest road, especially when the fog starts to move. The Woman in the Fog. It was a cold autumn night when David was driving home from work. The road cut straight through the forest. Tall, dark trees on both sides, their branches twisting like hands reaching out. The moon was hidden behind clouds, and the only sound was the hum of the engine. Then the fog appeared, not a soft, drifting mist, but thick, swirling white, as if it had a mind of its own. It rolled over the road, swallowing everything ahead. David slowed down. That's when he saw her. A woman standing on the side of the road. She was barefoot, wearing a pale nightgown that clung to her skin as if wet. Her hair was long and black, hanging over her face. She didn't move, didn't wave for help. She just stared. Something inside David screamed, "Don't stop." But his hands gripped the steering wheel tighter and his foot eased off the gas. The woman tilted her head, slowly, unnaturally, like a puppet with a broken neck. David's heart pounded. He drove past her, refusing to look again, but the fog grew thicker. The road twisted in ways he didn't remember. The trees seemed closer now, leaning in, and then she was there again, standing in the middle of the road, barefoot, nightgown, head tilted. David slammed the brakes, tires screeching. The woman slowly raised her hand and pointed behind him. He turned in his seat, and his blood froze. In the back of his car, through the rearview mirror, he saw her face, white as death, eyes black and endless, and a smile so wide it didn't seem human. The engine died. The fog pressed against the windows, and the temperature dropped. The last thing David heard was the sound of the passenger door unlocking. The Vanishing Hitchhiker. In the winter of 1983, Mark, a college student, was driving home late at night through a quiet, snow-covered highway. The wind howled outside, and the road seemed endless. Suddenly, in the beam of his headlights, he saw a young woman standing by the roadside. She wore a long white dress and no coat, her pale face barely visible under the snowflakes. Mark pulled over and offered her a ride. She nodded silently and slipped into the passenger seat, her skin cold to the touch. They drove in silence for a few minutes until she whispered, "It's colder than the grave tonight." When they reached the address she had given him, Mark turned to say goodbye, but the seat was empty. Confused and shaken, he knocked on the door of the small house. An elderly woman answered. When Mark described the girl, the woman's face turned pale. "That's my daughter. But she died in a car accident on this road, exactly 10 years ago tonight." To this day, Mark swears he can still see her reflection in his rearview mirror when driving on that road. The Black-Eyed Man in the Motel. It was 2 a.m. when Sarah pulled into a roadside motel during a long solo trip. The parking lot was empty and the air felt unnaturally still. She checked in, got her key, and headed to her room at the far end of the hallway. Just as she was about to unlock the door, she felt eyes on her. Turning, she saw a tall man standing at the other end of the hall. He was wearing an outdated suit, his skin pale as paper, and his eyes pitch black with no whites at all. He didn't blink. He didn't move. He just stared. Sarah hurried into her room and locked the door, heart pounding. Minutes later, she heard slow, heavy footsteps in the hallway. They stopped right outside her door. Then came a soft knock and a deep voice. "Let me in. I just want to talk." She didn't answer. The knocking grew louder, then stopped abruptly. In the morning, she told the front desk clerk about the man. The clerk frowned and said, "That's impossible. You're the only guest here tonight. And that room you're in. No one stayed there since a man was found dead inside, with his eyes missing." The last phone call. James worked the night shift at a small-town police dispatch center. One rainy night, the phone rang. On the line was a woman, her voice trembling. "Please, help me. Someone's in my house," she whispered. James asked for her address, but the call suddenly went silent, replaced by heavy breathing. Then, faintly, the woman said, "He's right behind me." The line went dead. Officers rushed to the location she gave, but when they arrived, the house was empty. No signs of struggle, no footprints in the wet ground, nothing. Hours later, James was finishing his shift when the phone rang again. It was the same voice. "Please, help me. Someone's in my house." James froze. It was the exact same words, same tone, same background noises. Like a recording. Only this time, the address she gave was the police station's own dispatch room.